Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Hey, think you can tell
The
us
revolution
what to do?
continues.
You think you could tell us what
For the
to
first
wear?
time ever,
You think that
and thanks to popular demand, the Storm has an Eagles-centric show. It's called Birdgang Weekly. Here it is. Let's go. What a difference 7 days makes.
Degenerate into something fool. We just got
7 days ago,
what you told us to do. That's a brace, boy.
the Philadelphia Eagles fan
That's a
base,
brace, little man.
one of the most loyal in all of sports, was out of sorts. They were depressed. They were looking for answers.
You think you could tell me what to
They were
do?
somewhat horrified at what they had seen the day before.
You know who you're talking to?
After losing
Well, you better
on
get
September
to the
15th
wall back.
by a score of 24-20 to Atlanta,
Brace, boy.
7 days later,
Brace, little man.
the Eagles went down in flames by a score of 27-24 to the hands of the Lions. That brought us to Monday, 7 days ago.
Big man.
It was a short week.
Treat you like you're a
The
little
fan
man.
base was horrified.
Yeah.
Rocky would have to pick himself up off the canvas one more time.
Yo, tell me what it's like to be half a man in my
No one knew what would happen
to see what I am, but that's
when the
a brace,
Bird Gang marched into the historic Lambeau Field
break it down.
on a short week on September 26th. But they got it done. 34-27, Birds win. 3 days later, on Sunday Night Football,
Tell me what
the
to
hated
do.
Dallas Cowboys went down in flames.
Know who you're talking
They
to.
lose to the New Orleans Saints.
Just stop.
And now look what we have.
Someone else.
The Cowboys are 3-1.
Gonna shout that.
The Eagles are 2-2.
Yeah.
The Giants, surprisingly, are 2-2. They moved on from Eli Manning. And ladies and gentlemen, the NFC East, just like that, is back. Except for that team in D.C. Wow. 7 days. This is why you never get too high after a win, and you never get too low after a loss. It's the NFL. Things happen. Teams lose. Teams can go 2-14, get the first pick in the draft, and immediately change their situation around. Overnight, they're contenders. Parity is what it's called. So no matter how much money you have, you can be as rich as Jerry Jones. You can be as poor as Mark Davis. And your team still has a chance because everyone's allowed a salary cap that has a cap on it. Everybody has the same rule book they have to play by. Everybody is told you can only spend this much on talent and you can't exceed that number. Otherwise, the rich teams would win every single year. The Redskins could actually be relevant. Daniel Snyder could go out and spend all that money he's got, collect talent, play a little real-life fantasy football, if you will. Jerry Jones could do the same thing in Arlington. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Storm. Welcome to Birdgang Weekly. Welcome to the NFL, where there's a salary cap. Welcome to the NFL, where teams are only allowed to spend a certain amount of money on talent. Welcome to the most beautiful game in our great country. Sometimes it isn't fun. Your team could struggle with the lowly Redskins, win by a narrow margin of 32-27, go to Atlanta in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, or is it Mercedes-Benz Stadium? I know it's two of them. One's in New Orleans. You can lose a tight one to the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 24-20. You could turn around and lose another game you're supposed to win, 27-24. And on a short week, your team can go to Lambeau and win in a game that everybody predicted them to lose, except us at Inside the Eagles. Follow Inside the Eagles every day on the Fansided Network. We're the fastest growing network for Eagles-centric news. You can follow us on Twitter at Inside Eagles, IGGLES. You can follow the experts, myself, at GQ_4_EVA. You can follow my co-cited expert, Justin Grasso, at JGRASSO_. Bookmark the page on Facebook, Inside the IGGLES, Inside the Eagles. Subscribe to our network. Download our mobile app. We're on iOS and Android. And you can get the news daily. The news for me has been pleasant. The Eagles went on Thursday night. They're a 500 team now. In a game they absolutely had to win, they took care of business. In a game they absolutely had to win, they come out on the winning side in dramatic fashion. It's quite the release for all of us, wasn't it? 6 months from now, you remember where you were when the Eagles won on Thursday Night Football. Just like it wasn't to the same significance of Super Bowl 52. But boy, was it emotional. You can't get too high after a win. You can't get too low after a loss. And you can never listen to a Dallas Cowboys fan. 3 games into the season, they were 3-0. 3 games into the season, you talk to any Cowboys fan, the most irrational fan base in all of sports, one of the most football illiterate fan bases I've ever met. Not all of them. Some of them are cool. 3 games in, after beating the Miami Dolphins, the Washington Redskins, and before that, the New York Giants, the Cowboys stood at 3-0. And the only people that knew that this team wasn't as invincible as Cowboy fans wanted to make you believe were people like us, the rational ones. I told everybody the Cowboys are going to walk into the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, and they're going to get their first L of the season. And they did that by a score of 12-10. The Dallas Cowboys fall to 3-1. They still lead the division, but by a narrow margin. Surprisingly, the New York Giants went with Daniel Jones before we thought they would. They've won 2 straight. The Eagles pick up another win, evening their record at 2-2. And now the Giants and the Eagles are tied for second place in the division behind the Dallas Cowboys. But wait, it gets better. All 2-2 records are not created equal, ladies and gentlemen. The Giants lost their opening game to the Dallas Cowboys. So they've lost a game in the division. They lost the head-to-head to Dallas. And for all intents and purposes, even though the Eagles have only played one divisional game, if there was a tiebreaker in place and the playoffs were to start today, the Eagles would actually go to the playoffs based on that over the New York Giants. They're 1-0 in the division. The Giants are 0-1 in the division. So all 2-2 records aren't created equal. But you got to love this game, ladies and gentlemen. 1 month into the season, the Rams are 3-1. Tampa's 2-2. The Seahawks are 3-1. The Giants are 2-2. As mentioned, the Cowboys are 3-1, and the Eagles are 2-2. Everybody's still in this thing. Can't listen to what everybody says, and you can't let your emotions get the best of you. I understand your pain. They were supposed to beat the Lions. They were at home. Malcolm Jenkins blocked that field goal and put him in position to win. Nelson Aguilar was supposed to catch that pass in Atlanta. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was supposed to catch that pass at the end of the game. That was supposed to do it for us. And Philly managed to screw it up in consecutive weeks. Only the Eagles could have lost that game. Never get too high after a win and too low after a loss. On a short week, they walked into Lambeau. I'm going to keep saying that because it's amazing. And they did what Philly always does. They go on the road in a primetime game and they beat a team they're not supposed to beat. It was beautiful to watch. All kinds of highlights, highs and lows. This unfolded like a great movie on Netflix. Three days later, the Dallas Cowboys lose to the New Orleans Saints. So what does that mean exactly? Are the Cowboys as heavily favored as we thought they was? As somebody so eloquently put on Twitter this morning, are the Cowboys, as the late, great Dennis Green said, are they who we thought they were? I remained calm. I kept telling y'all that this was going to happen. I told y'all the Eagles were going to beat the Packers. I told you the Cowboys were going to lose to the Saints. And here the Eagles are after a month. As bad as it's been, as ugly as it's been in time, they're a game out of first place. I'm not shocked. That can be shocking to a lot of people. I can understand that. But I'm not shocked. It's a long season. There are 12 games left, pretty much for just about everybody. There's a lot of football to be played. And as much as I'm picking on the Cowboys, and as much as I've said they're overstated and overrated, as much as I said their fan base is delusional and can't see what's actually going on the field in front of them, as much as I said Dak is good but not elite, two things can be corrected at the same time, even though they sound like they're in competition with each other. The Cowboys can be overhyped and full of holes, and they can also be favored to win this division, and they can also be a legitimate Super Bowl contender, which I still believe they are. I believe the Eagles and the Cowboys both run through the NFC East, and the only games they lose in the division will be to each other. For whatever reason, I believe the Eagles will go into Arlington at Jerry's World. I think they went on the road in Dallas or Arlington. I think the Cowboys then walk into Lincoln Financial Field towards the end of the year, and I think they return the favor. I've just seen the Dallas Cowboys walk into Lincoln Financial Field and beat the Eagles too many times in big games that the Eagles should have won. And I think that's how it folds out this year. But I'm going to say it again. The Rams are 3-1. Tampa's 2-2. The Seahawks are 3-1. The Giants are 2-2. The Cowboys are 3-1. And I've been saving this one. How about the 3-0 San Francisco 49ers? Nobody's out of this thing. There's no need to panic. 4 games have gone by. There's plenty of football left to play. I'm 20 minutes outside of Charlotte. A lot of my friends will kill me if I don't sit here and say this. The Carolina Panthers are 2-2. This is a long way from being over. And the NFC is not like the AFC. The AFC, we're pretty much just waiting for a rematch of the title game that we saw last year, the New England Patriots and the Kansas City Chiefs. Nobody else is ready. But the NFC is wide open. And the only team legitimately that can beat the Eagles is the Eagles. They've been doing it all this year. And now, in hindsight, we can look back and we can say that Lions loss wasn't as bad as we thought it was. The Lions can play, people. They're 2-1-1. The NFL's got to get rid of ties. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen before in my life. Who cares about a tie? The storm is on. You're listening to the inaugural episode of Birdgang Weekly. I got some raw royal for y'all. No return. We'll be right back.
To the wall, the other three are closing in. And now whenever make a break, me still I'm going in. No return, not going back to yesterday. The stress today's my only few left, burn all the rest away. I gotta make a change to get what's mine rightfully. I gotta make a change, this is no longer right for me. I gotta figure what I can give it that's more than my y'all. Only my best is good enough and I refuse to fall. Ignoring all the troubles caused, giving up is not a choice. Running with no brakes for those screaming with no voice. Whose only choice in this world is to get or die trying. Get out, get something and live it like you were dying. They fall to their knees at night praying to God, crying while asking for more strength to get over whatever's lying in wait. To make you stumble, might chip but won't crumble, might slip but won't fumble. The light I see in the tunnels got me feeling like every day won't be a cakewalk. In fact, those days are far and few. Gotta keep pushing on to do what I gotta do. It's gonna get lonely at times. It's gonna be some goodbyes, some middle fingers, some lies to cause a sacrifice. And 1 or 2 will stay true, 3 or 4 may understand. Because they choose to sit don't mean I don't deserve to stand. Gotta execute the plan with soldier like precision. Know it's hard to make the step, even harder is the decision to stand out and be different, even if it makes a difference. Start off at the beginning and dare to go the distance. Speak with the real conviction, regardless of your predicament. Learn to thinking and speaking and reaching with no limits. It's gotta be more than this, gotta be more for me. And there's gotta be something greater, it's both for my destiny. And there's gotta be a better life in this world other than struggle. I'm hungry, I gotta hustle, my voice no longer muffled and I'm feeling like no room for empty promises, don't need them. People not for me or against me and I don't see them. I played my part and what it got me was farther behind. So here and now I'm on me and I'm about mine. Wasting just the time, going for broke with the speed of a cheetah with soul. Usain Bolt and I'm striking you so severe when I'm near. You will adhere to my every single demand and you will cower in fear. Not wasting another year, hour, minute, a second. No problem leaving you here, you won't hold up my progression. No longer hold my success, cause I'm aiming to stress less. I deserve them to bless and not settle for next best. Failure is not the option, I'm collecting on every bet. Destined to change the game and you can hear it in every breath. Close to the way I'm supposed to be, I feel it in every step. No going back for me taking on any battle because I'm feeling alive.
Welcome back to Birdgang Weekly, our inaugural episode on the Thunderstorm Radio Network. Thunderstorm Media is live, and we're glad to be with y'all. I just spent the last 15 minutes telling everybody to calm down. 4 games have gone by. It's a long season. We got a lot of football left to play. I have a story to tell y'all. You know when I stopped being the guy who panicked about every single Eagles game? Remember those 3 straight championship losses? What was then the St. Louis Rams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Carolina Panthers? Can I tell you a story about that 3-year period and how it was for me? I don't have any guests tonight. I got some good ones coming up, but I don't have any tonight. So all you got is me. So I'm going to tell you the story anyway. Long time ago, a man who wanted nothing more than to see his favorite team win a Super Bowl watched a very game Philadelphia Eagles team fight their way into the NFC Championship game. And in between them and the Super Bowl stood the St. Louis Rams. I knew they weren't going to win that game. The Rams were the better team. The better team won. But I felt good after the loss. You know why? Because the team that was supposed to lose walked into that dome, gave the Rams all they could handle, and it came down to Donovan McNabb throwing an interception at the end of the game. Remember that? Remember how you feel? It hurt, but you were okay. The better team won, and your team played their hearts out and gave it a game. They went down swinging. You can't be mad about that. 1 year later, Donovan McNabb breaks his ankle, and you know the story. They're playing the Arizona Cardinals, and on a broken ankle, he threw 4 touchdown passes. We then diagnosed later that it wasn't a sprain as we initially thought it was a broken bone, and Donovan would miss most of the season. He'd come back in the playoffs, but he looked like exactly what he was. He was a great quarterback who was rusty. The Eagles survived the Atlanta Falcons in the divisional round at Veterans Stadium. That featured the knockout blow on Brian Dawkins on Michael Vick running to the end zone. Remember that? And then what happened was, with that win, they advanced to the NFC Championship game. All they had to do was beat a team they always beat, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But this time just felt different. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were hot. John Gruden, this is his claim to fame, because you'll never get me to say that John Gruden is this great coach that all of y'all would like to believe that he is. John Gruden took what Tony Dungy built and he expanded on it. He took a great defensive team and gave them an offense. Tampa Bay was hot. They had just walked all over I think the San Francisco 49ers in their divisional game, which brought us to an NFC Championship game, and it was at Veterans Stadium, where the narrative of that one was the Bucs had never won a playoff game when the temperature dropped below whatever it was that it dropped below. But this time felt different. The Bucs were hot. They had an amazing defense, and now they could score. And the Eagles, even though they were winning, they just couldn't get it together. They won an ugly game against the Atlanta Falcons, and into town comes the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I call it the most exciting 60 seconds in the history of Eagles football. Brian Mitchell took the kickoff. I'm painting this picture for y'all. I know y'all remember it. Brian Dawkins took that opening kickoff, raced down into Tampa territory. Donovan McNabb on first down, if I'm not mistaken, on play action, completed a pass over the middle to Chad Lewis. There was a run in there by Deuce Staley. Either that or the Chad Lewis play. One or the other was first and second down. But you get what I'm saying. Then there was a handoff to Deuce. And you remember how it sounded at Veteran that day? There was a crescendo in that chant of Deuce. Crescendoed into a loud cheer. And 52 seconds into the game, the NFC Championship game, in the final game that would ever be played at Veterans Stadium, the Eagles had a 7-0 lead. And they got their behinds kicked after that. That one hurt. But it wasn't too terribly surprising. Because whether you wanted to admit it or not, just like the year prior, that loss to the St. Louis Rams, the Buccaneers were the better team. Tampa Bay advances to the Super Bowl and they win it. 1 year later, the Eagles have acquired Javon Curse and Terrell Owens in one of the biggest coups in the history of free agency. Terrell Owens is coming to the Eagles. Remember that? Remember how you felt? It was electric, wasn't it? Terrell Owens could have retired in a rare air. Terrell Owens could have been one of the most beloved Eagles of all time. That city, that fan base, we love T.O. And certain things made us fall in love with T.O. The horse collar tackle, he was pulled down against the Dallas Cowboys. There they go again. The bone broke. T.O. was out for the remainder of the regular season, and he'd miss the postseason, the divisional round, and the NFC Championship game. Actually, I'm going to hit it myself. Let me back up. Before that, thank you for correcting me, John. Before that, there was another game. This story just gets better all the time, doesn't it? Before that, there was another NFC Championship game. I know you remember the one, and we'll get back to T.O. in a second. Before that, the Philadelphia Eagles had it all laid out for them. In their new stadium, Lincoln Financial Field, in came the Carolina Panthers. That one hurt because that was the game they were supposed to win. We can talk ourselves down off the ledge after the St. Louis game. They were supposed to lose that. The greatest show on turf, are you crazy? Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk and Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce, all these guys on this squad. So Philly should have won that. Philly could have won that game, but the Rams should have won it, and they did. Tampa Bay was a better team a year later. And the year before that, before T.O. came in came the Carolina Panthers. This one hurt. You know why? Because the Eagles were supposed to win that game, and they didn't. In one of the dirtiest plays ever, to this day, one of the reasons why I can live 20 minutes outside of Charlotte and hate the Carolina Panthers, this is why. That late hit that broke the rib of Donovan McNabb. This was after the 4th and 26 game, by the way. Donovan's ribs are broken. In comes Detmer. And one of the ugliest losses of all time. The Carolina Panthers beat the Eagles in Lincoln Financial Field by a score of 14-3, and they go to the Super Bowl. You had to feel, if you was an Eagles fan, that was our Super Bowl. That was the one, ladies and gentlemen. That was supposed to be the first. And it hurt more because you saw the Panthers, who weren't even supposed to be in the game, hang with the Patriots. And you had to ask yourself, What if that would have been us? This is when I learned. I said all that to say this. This is when I learned to take emotion out of football. I was crushed that following Monday. I was hurt. I was actually in Philly. I was in Chickies and Pete's. And my cousin called me. For those that don't know me personally, a lot of my family is from Philly. A lot of them migrated out of the city. They came south. And every city they pretty much bumped into on the way down south, they settled certain tribes there. So there's a Knox tribe in Baltimore. There's some of us in D.C. We're all over South Carolina. We're in Atlanta. And we're in Florida. But on this occasion, I had migrated north to Philadelphia, and I'm sitting in Chickies and Pete's. And my cousin calls me. I'm not sure where he was, but the way I remember it, he had to only be about 20 minutes from where I was. And wherever he is, in walks, if I remember correctly, Troy Vincent and Hugh Douglas. And I don't know who else they had with them, but somebody else that was on that same team. And they're having the time of their lives. And my cousin Tony, shout out to Tony, man. And I know you're listening. God bless you. My life changed forever. Because you know what they told me, folks? Tony called me up and he said, yo, some of the Eagles are here. And they having a ball, man. They got some beautiful women with them. Everybody wants to be around them. They're having a ball. They're having fun. They're laughing. Why are we so depressed? And I thought about it that day. I'm not on a team. And I'm crushed. They're on the team and they're fine. Why am I upset? That's when it changed for me. I'm not going to hit you with something cliche like it's just a game, because it's not just a game. For a lot of us, football is a game we've all played. It's where we learn self-confidence. It's where we learn teamwork. It's where we learn dedication. It's where we learn how to deal with failure. So it's not just a game. But if the actual Eagles weren't hurt and distressed over this catastrophic loss, why was I? And ladies and gentlemen, what we do in sports is we overreact. The last game is exactly what somebody is. The Eagles can't be a good team that just happen to lose 2 straight. They have to be terrible. They have to be awful. They have to be done, finished. 7 days after a bad loss to Detroit, which is what we thought at the time. It wasn't a bad loss. Detroit's good. 7 days later, look at us now. Because the Eagles on a short week walked into Lambeau Field, beat the Green Bay Packers, and then, on top of that, the Dallas Cowboys lost on Sunday Night Football. And now the Eagles are a game out of first place. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. It's a long season. We got 12 more of these. And we got to play the Cowboys twice. And we still got to play the Giants twice. Baseball is approaching the postseason, and nobody cares. I'll get into that in a second. The Philadelphia 76ers. A lot of y'all are hitting me up right now asking me to talk about the Sixers. Can't do it. This is Birdgang Weekly. We'll do that on the Storm. The Sixers are back. A Phillies team that should have been better than they are is out of contention. I thought this would be a night where I announce to y'all that Gabe Kapler or Matt Klentek or both of them have been fired, and neither one of them has been. And I don't know why they haven't. And I'm not a proponent for people losing their job in the economic climate that we've seen here from time to time. But those two got to go. It's awful, and it's not going to get better as long as they're there. The 76ers are back. And what am I talking about? On September 30th, I'm talking to y'all about the Philadelphia Eagles when baseball's in the playoffs and when basketball's back. You know why? Because we care more. It mattered when the Eagles lost to the Carolina Panthers. We all felt better. My chronological senses are back now. Terrell Owens and Javon Curse joined the team after we lose to the Carolina Panthers. Gosh, that was 3 straight losses in the NFC Championship game. Terrell Owens could have been somebody that we all loved forever. I can't tell you what it felt like to see him break his leg. The defeat we all felt because we felt like Donovan McNabb finally had a number 1 go-to receiver. And this was supposed to be the year. This was the year we were going to make it all right. We were going to make up for that Rams loss and that Bucks loss and that Panthers loss. This was the year we were going to go to the Super Bowl and win it. And they did go to the Super Bowl. They lose to the Patriots. And this is why I say that previous Super Bowl should have been our Super Bowl, because I'm alone in this, but I actually think that team was better than the 2004 version. And a lot of people think I'm crazy because that's the team that actually went to the Super Bowl, and that's the team that had T.O. But I think if we'd have gotten in that game a year prior, I think we would have pulled it off. And there were moments where we could have won against the Patriots, and that was the Eagles' second Super Bowl appearance. Wasn't meant to be in the end. In the end, history has eventually worked itself out the way it's supposed to. The Eagles finally got that Lombardi Trophy in 2000, after the 2017 season in 2018 in February. So they finally got that Lombardi. They're working on another, and everybody can calm down, because it's a long season and the Eagles are at 500. And coming in to the link on Sunday is the New York Jets. Another game the Eagles should win. There'll be no recollections and epiphanies later that the Jets were better than we thought they would. The Jets are terrible. Their coach, Adam Gase, is terrible. He's better than you and I. But you and I don't coach in the NFL. We're not sure that Sam Darnold's going to play. If you rock with Inside the Eagles, check out a feature I did today. 3 thoughts on Sam Darnold's availability in Week 5. You can see that on InsideTheEagles.com. But Sam Darnold with the mono may not play. We're Monday, and it doesn't sound like he's any closer to being able to take physical contact than he was back in the middle of September when we first learned about this. So the Jets are probably going into that game with a backup. This is a game that the Eagles should win. But if they don't, calm down. It's a long season. The Eagles will lose games. This team was never going to go 16-0. Neither were the Cowboys. And the only people that don't understand that is Cowboys fans. Again, the most delusional fan base, we'll say, in the NFL. I don't know if it's all the sports anymore, because you got people like Notre Dame who refuses to see what their team actually is. We look through the world and at our teams through rose-colored lenses. Is that the phrase? Rose-colored lenses? Yeah. It's a long season. But look What a difference 7 days makes. This time last week, we were hurt. We were 1-2. And oh my God, we got to go play the Packers in Lambeau. And the Cowboys are 3-0. Ladies and gentlemen, they beat the Giants and the Redskins and the Miami Dolphins. There's some high school teams that I think can beat the Miami Dolphins right now. After that first loss, people were literally calling. Players were calling their agents, get me out of here. A team that plays in Miami. South Beach is around the corner. You're in the Hard Rock Stadium, one of the most beautiful places on earth. Women are everywhere. The weather is nice, and people want out. So email the show, thunderstormradio66@gmail.com. Let us know how you're feeling. We got some great guests coming up in the upcoming weeks. It's a long season. We're going to be here with you through the whole thing. Then we're going to be here with you through the off season. And we're going to talk a little draft. Then we're going to be with y'all through the combine and the draft process, the off season, keeping you guys interested while you feel like there's nothing else going on. You got to love football. It's better than baseball, y'all. It's better than the NBA. You know that. I know that. But if you don't, I'm going to prove that to y'all on the other side of this. This is my man, KD7. This is Have Faith. You're listening to The Storm.
Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Let's go. Let's go.
Sometimes I wish I could fly. I'll try, and I'll try, yeah, until I get it right, even when it's hard. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God. Oh, 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 oh. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God. Don't let them take your mind away, because there's something greater along the way. Life or death, which one do you claim? I'll play neither, because this ain't no game.
There you go.
Violence of violence causes more violence. Silence of silence causes more silence. You provide an offense. Now it's time for defense. You'll have to fight this. Whoa, no more denying. Sometimes I wish I could fly, and I'll try, and I'll try, yeah, until I get it right, even when it's hard. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God. Oh, 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 oh. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God. I can't imagine a life with no passion, no. Learning and comprehension, that's my type of fashion. I don't want no mention, no. 'Cause all I want is my Lord's presence. Sometimes I wish I could fly, and I'll try, and I'll try, yeah, until I get it right, even when it's hard. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God.
Listen.
Oh, 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 oh. I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God.
Let go.
Now you realize the signs of a fight inside. surprise. Whoa, whoa. Now you have faith, yeah, yeah. Have faith in God's light. Sometimes I wish I could fly. I'll try, and I'll try, yeah, until I get it right. Even when it's hard, I'll try, 'cause I have faith in my God.
KD7, have faith on Thunderstorm Media. Ladies and gentlemen, you spent the last 45 minutes listening to me. You spent the last 45 minutes allowing me to set the world right. And by now, you should have all learned a very valuable lesson. Calm down. Two things can be true. The Eagles can be 1-2, and they can still be a good team. Are you feeling like if this team plays up to their potential, and if this team can add some valuable pieces to the secondary, and if this team maybe does something a little off kilter and brings a big name in, or at least somebody productive by the trade deadline, are you feeling like if they eliminate the mistakes, that this team is still a legitimate Super Bowl contender? You should be, because they are. The best is yet to come. This team will get healthy. This team is going to win some games. This team will eventually split with the Dallas Cowboys. And at the end of the regular season, we're still going to be in the conversation. Now, what happens when we get to the postseason, we don't know. If we get what this team did in the third quarter against the Redskins, and if we get what this team did for the majority of the third and the beginning of the fourth quarter against the Atlanta Falcons, and if we get this team that showed up after they fell into a 10-0 hole against the Green Bay Packers, and we get that for the rest of the season, this team is going to be fine. However, if we get that team that we saw in the first half against the Washington Redskins, and if we get that team that we saw against the Detroit Lions, and if we get that team that fell into that 10-0 hole, and if Nelson Aguilar drops passes at the end of games, and if J.J. Arcega-Whiteside drops passes at the end of the game, it's going to be a long season. But that's the NFL, people. Ineffective happens. Carson Wentz is going to miss throws. It's okay. It doesn't mean he sucks. The Dallas Cowboys are going to lose games. It doesn't mean they're not a legitimate Super Bowl contender. It doesn't mean they can't still win the NFC East. It just means it's wide open. Rams 3-1. Tampa 2-2. Seahawks 3-1. 49ers 3-0. Giants 2-2. Cowboys 3-1. Eagles 2-2. Carolina Panthers 2-2. A lot of teams are still in it. The playoffs don't start in week 5. For all their mishaps, for all their errors, for all the struggles that we've seen to this point in the season, there's still a lot of football left to be played. And they can pull this thing out. But I'm telling you, as a man who doggone near cried when the Eagles lost to the Carolina Panthers in one of 3 straight NFC Championship game losses. I was fine after the Rams. They were supposed to lose. I was fine after Tampa. They were supposed to lose. Now, I didn't like the way they lost. And after, again, what I call the most exciting 60 seconds in the history of Eagles football, the Brian Mitchell kickoff return, the Deuce Staley run into the end zone where he alluded to the defenders, and the crescendo of Deuce turned into a loud cheer. I'm telling you guys, it hurt to watch him go down swinging like that. Well, without swinging. It hurt to watch Rondé Barber pick off that pass and take it the distance. It hurt to watch the Eagles lose a game that I thought this was the one. This is the one they're going to win. That day came later. Almost 365 days later versus the Atlanta Falcons. And the Eagles finally made that Super Bowl. The fourth time was a charm in this case. But it was amazing, guys. That's why we love football. It's amazing. It tugs at all the emotions. It allows us to forget, if only for 3 hours sometimes, the rough day we've had. It allows us to forget those people that have made us angry. It allows us to forget what may be going on financially. We love this game. We love this game for a reason, because it's the greatest in all sports. Nothing's like football. I love my Sixers. But today was media day, and all I kept thinking about was this. So for those of y'all who are picking on me right now, because I got a little emotional in my story, and some of the chronological events were out of order, I eventually got it right. I am human. But why don't y'all ever hit me up when I'm right about stuff? How come nobody hit me up to congratulate me about successfully picking a Cowboys loss? Nobody hits me up to tell me how brilliant I am. They only hit me up to tell me that I didn't put a comma in the right place. They hit me up when I misspell somebody's name because I'm rushing to get out 35 stories. People will always hit you up on social media when you're wrong. People will hit you up. In what's been an amazing inaugural episode of Birdgang Weekly to tell you that you made a mistake. But nobody has hit me up to tell me I was right about the Cowboys. Nobody. You're welcome to call the show. You're welcome to email the show. You won't do it. I haven't heard from a Cowboys fan all day. Prior to Sunday, it was, how about them Cowboys? Hadn't heard anything. And this is part of the disdain I have for the Cowboys franchise. You have no idea how much blue and gray you see when this team is winning. They disappear when things go wrong. Because everybody who was talking about how inconsistent Carson Wentz is, they saw some inconsistency for the first time from Dak Prescott. And everybody that picked on the Eagles because they couldn't get the running game going, they saw it get going on Thursday night. And now Ezekiel Elliott looks mortal. The first man in history to go to Cabo on business. We didn't see the feed me mannerisms on Sunday night, did we? The Cowboys, who put up 30 points in their first 3 games, put up 10 in front of a televised audience in New Orleans. I told you it was going to happen. The Cowboys were going to lose that game. I told you that they were going to lose. I told you why they were going to lose. And while everybody hits me up to tell me what I'm wrong about, why don't you hit me up to congratulate me on being a genius? The ineffective Eagles looked effective on Thursday night. Oh, yeah, there are some problems. They got to find a cornerback. I don't care what it takes. Give away 2 first-round picks. Get Jalen Ramsey. And shout out to Justin Grasso. I know you're listening. He brilliantly pinned one on Inside the Eagles today. A piece on how Chris Harris could be another option at cornerback. He wants out of Denver, apparently. Justin Grasso was all over that one. Shout out to the mighty army over at Inside the Eagles. We're the fastest growing magazine online for Eagles-centric content. The Thunderstorm is the host of, I say, the original, for what it was and how it's constructed, the original and one of the most important Christian hip-hop radio podcasts, The Thunderstorm. And you will come to realize guests are coming. We got some amazing things down the pipe. I ain't touched on half I wanted to touch on tonight. Birdgang Weekly will be one of your go-to sources for the Eagles. You hit me up when I'm wrong. You never hit me up when I'm right. And I'm telling you I'm right about that. You know how we do things at the Storm. We expect excellence. Sometimes we fail. More often than not, we deliver. And we expect our foray into Birdgang Weekly to be no different. We love our Sixers. What Trail doesn't. He's a Baltimore Ravens fan. But we love our Sixers. I love my Phillies. I was intent on telling you guys tonight. I was going to be the person to tell you that Gabe Kapler and Matt Klentak, or both of them, were gone. Unfortunately, I can't report that news to you because it hasn't happened. And only the good Lord in heaven knows why. Things have to change for that Phillies organization. Things appear to be changing for the Eagles. We can't tell you how much we love this game of football. We know you do too. We appreciate you tuning in. Stop the music. Does anybody remember Name That Tune? They played a song. You had to guess what the song was. Football is different, ladies and gentlemen. It just is. Don't believe me? Name this tune. Tell me how you feel when you hear this. Name that tune. Beautiful, isn't it? If that doesn't make you want to watch football, you don't have a pulse. Name that tune, ladies and gentlemen. If you said that's the NFL's theme on CBS, you were correct. Nobody has to tell you what it is. When you hear that, you know what time it is. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue to play. Name this tune. Now, I'll be honest with you. As beautiful as that is, I actually like the CBS theme better. Am I alone in that? I've always lost the CBS theme better. But we're playing in that tune. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to be told. You just know what time it is when you hear that song. Your antenna goes up. Name that tune. Don't worry. I'll give you a couple extra seconds. If you said that is the NFL on Fox's theme, you are also correct. Give yourself a hand, ladies and gentlemen. We're not done. Name this tune. Classic. Beautiful. I don't know if they give away Grammys for theme songs. I'm sure they don't. I guess that would be an Emmy. Beautiful. As beautiful as any operatic ensemble I've ever heard. As beautiful as any instrument. As beautiful as any singing voice. Almost as beautiful as when Whitney sang the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, name this tune. You don't have to be told, do you? If you said that's the Monday Night Football theme, you're also correct. Give yourself a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Good job, good job. I got one more for you. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me what this is. If you said that's Fly Eagles Fly, the Eagles Fight song, ladies and gentlemen, pat yourselves on the back. Ladies and gentlemen, it is what it is. The season is not over. The Eagles are 2-2. One game now out of first place in the NFC East. There's a lot of football left to be played, y'all. A lot of football left to be played. And you should be happy. Because we cheer for one of the greatest franchises of all sports. We don't disappear like the Dallas Cowboys fans. I haven't heard how about them Cowboys all day. We don't keep things pounding when things are going right and then disappear when things don't. Carolina Panthers. We don't have somewhere around 500,000 followers on Twitter. Jacksonville Jaguars, Buffalo Bills. Now, I'm not going to pick on Buffalo. They're a true fan base. Buffalo fans, I apologize. Y'all are some of the most loyal fans in all the sports, and you deserve to have a winning product. So do the Cleveland Browns. I don't dislike a lot of teams except for the Cowboys and the Redskins and the Giants. What I dislike is disloyal fan bases. What I dislike is Patriots fans who know they haven't been a fan of this team before Tom Brady and Bill Belichick showed up. I can't stand for them to tell me what being a true fan is all about. They don't know. They've only been here since Belichick and Brady showed up. You can't hit me up all week, say, how about them Cowboys, and then disappear. You can't hit me up on social media and tell me that I spelled somebody's name incorrectly and never hit me up when I was right about everything. But I digress. We're not going to end on a negative note, ladies and gentlemen. Let me say this. Birdgang Weekly is Thunderstorm Media's podcast and radio show dedicated to the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll be with y'all for the long run. We'll be with y'all forever. This was the first episode. Y'all made it fun. I love every single one of y'all. Crank up the old school bus. We go out. I'll see y'all next time. Love y'all. Thank y'all for allowing me to be y'all host. Thank y'all for making Inside the Eagles a platform where millions of readers come to see what we're talking about every single month. 1 million readers come to our website to read about the Eagles, and I take a lot of pride in that. And I thank God every day that a dude who just had a dream and didn't go to school for this thought up a thunderstorm in the 4 walls of his house and made it what it is today. And a guy who basically had no experience as an editor became one. And now we're the fastest growing site, I'm going to say it again, for Eagles content on the web. Inside the Eagles, IGGLES. Follow at Inside Eagles on Twitter. Follow me at GQ_4_EVA. I'm the same on all social media, on Snapchat, on Instagram, on Twitter. You can follow the at GQ Forever page on Facebook. Follow Thunderstorm Media on Facebook. Our Twitter was hacked. Storm Radio was hacked. I have no idea why, but that just means we're doing something right. We're important enough to be hacked now. And I was just about to get my blue check mark. Crank up the old school bus. I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're going to catch y'all next time. We go out on the old school bus. One of my faves. It was my daddy's favorite too, the Spinners. Love y'all. Talk to y'all later.
What to say?